Alright, so I don't know if you watched the startup video, the little short I posted, but my grill's crooked. So that means my radiator support's crooked. So when my buddy was here, me and him worked on the passenger side, and we changed up how it was, and apparently I missed a measurement. So I fixed cut it and put a spacer, because if you look, see how my rack and pinion right now? Zoom in on the rack and pinion. Hold on here. So you can see how the rack and pinion, this top bar right here on the radiator support should be parallel with that, and it's definitely not. And if you get back here looking at the car, it's definitely droopy on the passenger side, and the suspension's not, it's level if you look at the A-arms. So I'm gonna cut that thing real quick, throw a spacer in there, and we'll be right back in business. So yeah, learning as I go. It's the first time I ever tried to do something like this, but lesson learned, measure twice, cut once, right? Alright, so I got my 2 tabs cut out and drilled, and this is the spacer I need, but now I need to make it a little shorter because it'll be too tall with the 2 tabs on there. So we're going to cut just that much out of this, and then we'll get it welded up and hopefully back in the car and get back on these fenders. Alright, so we got the tabs and the spacer welded in, so now that'll be removable, which is cool. And then if you come over here, it looks a lot better. It's all straight now. So we did some leveling and measuring, and everything's happy. It looks a lot better than it did before. So now onto the fenders. Alright, so got the driver's side on. Looks like it's pretty good. It's hard to see, I'm kind of close, but the spacing looks good there. The only thing I got to figure out is the bottom of the fender here. I got to figure out how I want to do it, and see, my gap's kind of funky, but once I get my bottom of a fender right, the gaps will fix. So I got to figure that part out. And then I'm getting the passenger side on, then we're gonna get the hood, make sure we don't need to do any crazy side to side adjustments. And yeah, making progress. Just gotta figure out how I want to mount the bottoms. And then my plan is I'm gonna get a piece of just strip aluminum and kind of go from here, you know, a good distance, then attach it right here. That way the thin fiberglass will have some aluminum there helping it. I don't know if that's needed, but you know, I've never had fiberglass fenders before, so I don't know. Just kind of winging it and trying to make the body gaps look decent, which they're not gonna look great, but trying to make them look okay. But yeah, pretty excited. It'll be nice to see the front end all together, and it'll be fun to come out here with the car almost complete, and then just a bunch of piddly stuff to do and get it on the road. All right, so got both fenders mounted as far as I can. I've got some Zeus fasteners that I think I'm just going to use at the bottom here, and that way I can lift the fender and it'll fix all the gaps. But I don't have the right size rivets, so I need to go find some rivets. But I got both of those, so I got both where I want it. This one, the gap's not going to be as good, but I think it's more the fender than anything else. But I think I'm going to have to trim this fender right here because it's getting too close, but then it's a pretty big gap everywhere else. So we'll roll with that. And then I'm kind of visualizing my exhaust. So I got the 4-inch that'll come out, and I think I'm going to put it right there if I can do it. I might have to move it back a little bit, but plan is to do 4-inch there, and then I'll have a 2.5-inch that runs here and just comes out in front of the front tire, just a single 2.5-inch. And I have the loud valve, so the loud valve will be in the fender, so anytime we're on boost we will get cool turbo sounds and open exhaust, and when we're puttering around town I'll be civilized. But anyway, gonna get some 90s and see if that is even doable with my exhaust and go from there. All right, so we're still working on these fenders. If you look at my driver's side, like, I still got to get the bottom out, but you can see the gap is consistent. Not perfect, but consistent, which I'm okay with that. And then the passenger side I could never get right. It was always way bigger on the bottom than the top, so that means I have this part too high. So we got the tool out again, and we just cut this guy. So we're going to shorten about 1/4 of an inch out of it, put it all back together, and then see. So yeah, so just got that shortened. Took about 1/4 of an inch out of it and re-welded it, so now my gap's better. I got this guy, I got my Zeus fastener welded on there, so I've got that right. So the last thing that's going to be tricky is getting the Zeus hole in the right spot, because I don't have the center punch, so I got to figure out something. So I'm going to go see if I have anything that's the right size and try to get that figured out. All right, so we're ready to go with this fender, but I don't have, they sell a little center punch for these things so you can get the hole in the right spot on the fender. But what I got a 7/16 inch bolt, and I cut it off and it screws in the hole there, kinda. When the camera's not on, it screws in, but you see it'll go in like that. And I've got some white paint, and I'm gonna dab some white paint on the end of that, and then the inside of my fenders are black, so then I'll just get everything set up and then touch it and then pull it off, drill it, and it's going to be perfect. So we'll see if that works. If not, I'll have to probably cut that off and move it, because you know, you only get one shot to drill a hole in the fender. So, but either way, it'll work out. Paint on the tape didn't work, so I did some duct tape on the bolt and it worked, and then I just spray painted it, so that way that's where my hole needs to go. So we'll see. We'll see how good that is. I'm gonna try to just drill the center of that, and then we'll see how this thing fits in there. All right, so we got our hole drilled in our fender. Got my little Zeus will go right there. So I'm gonna make sure this fits before I drill the holes for the rivets. So I gotta go find my rivet gun so I can rivet the spring onto that part, and then I can test fit this guy, and then we'll get it riveted. So progress. All right, so got the fender on. I'm pretty sure this is sticking out from the wreck because it drove this fender up under this hood. Because if you look right here, that's about the same as the driver's side, and the driver's side matches much better. So I think I'm probably just going to beat on that door and see if I can get this beat back down, because it is bent out. You can see right here there's a little crease. Get that looking a little better. The only other issue, the gap's not great by any means, but then my Zeus fastener sucked it in a lot more than I was expecting. So I don't know, first time dealing with these things. Not sure what I'm going to do there. So I may have to cut it back out and make it longer like I originally had it, which I thought it was too long. But if you step back, I got the lines pretty decently lined up, so that's good. So I don't know, I'm getting tired of messing with these fenders. We might call that good enough. I don't see this side of the car. And I don't know, you know, these are fiberglass fenders, so they're never gonna fit as good as originals, and I'm not a body shop guy. So I have a friend that is, so maybe once I get this thing going, I'll take it to him and we'll align these things a little bit better. But I think I'll go start on the exhaust, because I really want to get the 4-inch part done and then the 2.5-inch part done, so it's quieter, so I don't have to worry about making the neighbors mad backing it in and out of the garage while I'm working on it. But yeah, so I think the next thing I'm gonna do is make sure that's where I want the exhaust, and then start drilling holes there. And then I've got the old loud valve over here, and I got to decide how much I want to stick out the fender, right? Whether I want to flush cut it or have a little stick out or whatever. I don't know about that yet. And then you can see I've got the 90s right here, so it'll go like this, and then I'll drill a 2.5 inch in right here, and 2.5 inch will go out and down and out the passenger side back there. So it'll be a putter quiet car, hopefully, when I'm not on it. But anyway, we'll get back at it. Getting the hot side mocked up. So got the hole in the fender, got the exhaust there. If you look in here, I got the loud valve, and then I got some pie cuts and a 90 and another 90. Hopefully that's not, I mean, it's 4-inch, so I don't think it'll mess with flow too much. But I think this is what I'm gonna do, and I'll leave that long like that, and then I'll trim it later if I want to. But I think that's gonna be the plan, because I think everything lines up pretty good right there. I just got to get that tacked while I'm holding this where I want it, and then I think I should be good. So once I get it all tacked out, I'll pull it out and show you what I'm working with. And got the hot side welded up and in. It fits. Do need a little trimming on this side, but the trim ring will work out so I can move it all that way a little bit, and then that'll fit good. See if you can see. So be kind of like that. I might end up cutting that off flush. It looks pretty, I don't know, we'll see. Probably end up cutting that off flush, but I'm gonna leave it like it is for now, because it's easy to cut it off flush if I want to. And then my plan is I'm gonna have one 2.5 inch on the passenger side, so I got that out. So I'm just gonna think, so we're gonna tap into this guy with 2.5 inch, and then probably up here and aim it up a little bit and get it as high as we can away from the tire, and then just go back and down, and hopefully it'll work. I may try to angle it this way and go down in the back there, but I've got plenty of 2.5 inch pipe to figure it out. So because there's a gap there, but it'd be easier if I just could follow the fender, but I want to make sure it clears the tires and all that stuff. So we'll work on that next. And I've got to figure out a way to get the loud valve to actually open so I can start this up and see what it sounds like, because I'm interested.